Good evening, everybody. Welcome to a work session for the City Council tonight, October 2nd, 2018. Calling the meeting to order. I want to look around and notice that we are all here. Let the record reflect that everybody's present and there is a quorum. Leading off, City Administrator update, Logan Probst.
Sure, just four quick things here for you. Just wanted to note that the Walton Plaza request for quotation is going to be sent out probably in the next couple weeks. I'm working on that right now, and reminder that's for the police department and municipal court complex out there off East Spring Street. So I hope to have that to you at the November meeting. That's a big thing we're working on in the background there. Also, we expect to bring some options to you for the wastewater treatment plant. Rodney Middlebrooks has spent countless hours in the past few months working on the best options for the wastewater treatment plant rehab. And I think we've got some really good pricing in hand now, some good options for what we feel is comfortable for making it work for many years, and also maybe setting us up for extended capacity in the future. So that will probably be coming to you next month on the agenda to talk about. A couple updates. The West Spring Street sidewalk project is going along really well. I know we've had a lot of rain delay, but I think it's really starting to take shape now. We probably have about 6 to 7 more weeks with the contractor, and that includes their punch out. So as long as the weather cooperates, we'll stay on that schedule. And then from there, Brian's crews will be installing the street lighting, and we'll be dropping in the street trees. We're looking at the Trident Maple for the street trees. North Broad sidewalk, LCI project, making great progress up there. You've seen the demolition on the west side of the road. They're tearing up the sidewalk, going to put in the piping. It's moving along finally at a pretty good clip. Hope we can stay on that, and that'll be about a year-long project. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Perfect. Thank you. Moving to Central Services, Mr. Chris Bailey.
Thank you, sir. Couple quick things. Landscaping project at City Hall is complete, minus the annuals out front because we still got 90-degree weather, it looks like, this weekend, so we chose to hold off on a little bit of that. So I look for that to be done probably in the next 2 weeks. The plan now is I've talked to contractor that would come in with Garland and replace some of the broken bricks that we have, pavers, pour 2 areas that we had to saw cut for the drainage system that was put in. After that's complete, I've already got pricing on pressure washing what's the City Hall block. So it'd be all the concrete areas and everything that's gotten dingy over the years, and just kind of finish out the mass overhaul of City Hall where we did the building last year. Now we're doing the grounds around everything, and should be something that we're all very proud of. So we came in at 1,500. I think I requested 34.5 was the cap, I believe. We came in at 33.1 for the landscaping. So they did come in a little bit lower than what we requested. The fire department, the roof and pressure washing facility is set to begin on October 17th. They'll be staging the dumpsters, porta-johns, different things, moving vehicles and whatnot around. That's already been communicated on the 15th, that Monday. And the Art Guild should see a few more repairs. If any of you have heard any complaints, we're still having some leaks, but those are coming in around the windows in different places. So we should have that fixed here in the next week, and hopefully rain holds off and allows for that. So any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Are there any questions? Have you, did you get with Joe Gargas and let him know or understand how the water's coming in?
Yeah, I responded directly to the email and let him know that the water wasn't coming in through the roof. It was coming in where there's an internal gutter system on the building that's been there for years and years. It stops up. We've got one downspout that's currently not allowing water out of it. And yeah, it's not spouting. And then that fills up, overflows into the windows that are just seals broken and just old. So we'll get those fixed. Talk to Joe so they all know everything that's going on.
And one last thing, this landscaping looks fantastic. I appreciate it. I have had a comment about our air conditioning system right here and the noise that it makes. We took out the buffer. Anything we can do to,
It'll quit running when it gets cooler.
no, I mean, I didn't know if we have some type of landscape that might be able to absorb that.
Well, I mean, you really don't have any room to put anything over there because the only crepe myrtles that were still existing were actually on the drive-through side, so they weren't buffering where the houses are.
I know there's not much space. I just
Yeah, I
figured
mean,
I would mention it.
there's not a lot we can do. I mean, we can look at some options by all means and just kind of see what somebody suggests. Other than
Yeah.
that, there may not be very much we can do. So I won't say no, I'll say I'll
At
look
least we're
into it.
looking. That's
Yeah.
all. That's good. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, Chris. Moving into committee information, finance, Mr. Bradley.
Yes, Ms. Thompson's got her report for you this evening.
Yes, thank you. Some quick updates that we've been going through in the finance department, on the new software, with Tyler that, we will be going to, here shortly. We have been having daily meetings, and doing configuration and implementation work in the finance department. We are in our third week of that, and, we will be doing that for 3 more weeks. Thus far, we've done, general ledger, accounts payable, payroll, fixed assets. We're currently on purchasing and inventory, and we will be getting into utility billing and meter reading in the next 3 weeks. So that is moving along. It is a lot of work in the finance department, and I do appreciate all the work that all the staff has come together and joined together and working on that daily in addition to their daily work that they're doing as well. I'm also working on 2019 operating budgets right now and meeting with each department as needed, and we will hopefully have that to come to y'all at the end of October, and hope to get with everyone to make sure we can dial in some dates that all of us can get together towards the end of October and have those meetings so we can go over the preliminary operating budget for 2019. You have the financial status reports in front of you. If you have any questions about any of that, I'll be glad to answer those. That's all I have.
Just one question, Ms. Thompson. We're, what, 2/3 of the way through the year now?
Yes.
You anticipate us finishing the year on budget or close?
Yes, we'll definitely be right there at budget.
Mayor, before the next item on the agenda, I'm going to ask Ms. Thompson if she'll come join me in the front and then the front down here. Come on.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Mayor and council, I know that some of you are highly aware of the Government Finance Officers Association. Some of you are newer members of the council and may not be completely aware of that. This is a large national professional organization headquartered out of Chicago that looks at and reviews budgets and other financial reports from cities around the country. And it's a highly prestigious organization, and I'm real honored tonight as chairman of the Finance Committee to be able to read a little short thing to you from the Government Finance Officers Association, where it says, the Government Finance Officers Association is pleased to announce that the city of Monroe, Georgia, has received GFOA's Distinguished Budget Presentation Award for its budget. The award represents a significant achievement by the entity. It reflects the commitment of the governing body and staff to meeting the highest principles of governmental budgeting. In order to receive the budget award, the entity had to satisfy nationally recognized guidelines for effective budget presentation. These guidelines are designed to assess how well an entity's budget serves as a policy document, a financial plan, an operations guide, and a communications device. Budget documents must be rated proficient in all 4 categories and in the 14 mandatory criteria within these categories to receive the award. I could go on further, but I think the point here is Ms. Thompson and her staff and working with the city administrator on the budget for last year continue to do an outstanding job for the city. And with that, I'm going to present to Ms. Thompson here the Government Finance Officers Association Distinguished Budget Presentation Award presented to the city of Monroe, Georgia for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2018, signed by Christopher Merrill, Executive Director of GFOA. Congratulations, Beth. I will point out one thing in addition, I guess, as we're leaving, just to show the work that this group does. This is, if I'm not mistaken, the 6th consecutive year that the city of Monroe has received this award from this organization. So she couldn't dare let it fail this time, right, on her first year? But congratulations once again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Thank you, Mr. Bradley. Moving to the Airport Committee, Mr. Garrett.
Chris, we're going to talk a little bit about the T-hangers.
We'll get there in a second. Just a little bit of a update on the apron projects that we're looking at on the east and west side. Notice to proceed date is October the 8th from the DOT, so next Monday. Right now, Public Works crews are cutting our first roughly 6 feet off of our dirt mound that exists out there, about 200 feet back, so we can get to usable fill dirt for the expansion. Right now, just waiting on DOT to send us a letter to proceed. We've already signed contracts, everything with ER Snell, Barge, and ourselves. So everything's set up, ready to go. And two, even though costs are up and prices are up, our fuel sales were up a great deal from last September, mainly because we had a good bit of rain last year, and this was a little bit better September. So revenues were up on the fuel sales a good bit. So, any questions? Then we'll, the item before you is our 8-unit T-hanger bill proposal that we've discussed this a multitude of times with council, airport committee, so on. I know 3 years ago, roughly, we were looking at an estimated cost of about $375,000. That was turnkey. And we put out proposal, eight companies picked up and paid for the bid packet. And it was a bid that we actually followed all state guidelines so that we could perhaps file for reimbursement from the state in years to come. Not likely, but possible. And they would only fund 75% of the construction costs, which would be roughly half of the total cost. Low bid came back, 3 bidders at $591,827. Much higher than anticipated. I expected maybe $475,000. Right now, it looks like with the price of steel tariffs, whatnot, buying everything American that were required on this project, and the fact that construction is really increased right now. It just looks like it's driving prices higher than what we're anticipating. So that's the request before you, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. And two, also I included, you can see the bid breakdown of the 3 that bid it, and then I put together a payback breakdown that covers that hangar paying for itself. And right now, I think Logan and I had talked before the meeting, we're looking at interest rates, if we took a loan for this, of about 4 to 5%. So that's going to push your total cost to about $860,000 to $930,000.
Back over 10 years?
Payback at that rate is, for just that hangar itself, is about 35 years. If you use all hangar revenue, which would be 24 total units, your payback with an interest rate of 4 to 5% over 20 years, you're looking at about 11 and a half to 12 years. So it's a rather extensive investment.
And that might be something we can probably put on hold and look at first part of next year, and hopefully some of the building materials actually been on went down by then. Right now, everything's inflated, which is pushing a lot up.
You know, we're in October. You could potentially, I mean, we've got We've got everything engineered, we've got the drawings, we've got everything that we need to follow DOT specifications, what they would require in a hangar, to, once again, to apply for reimbursement. It's something that you could revisit on an annual basis and just simply put out a bid package, and see where your prices come in. You may, however, if you start doing it every year and eventually you don't build it, people are just gonna quit bidding because they're gonna question the validity of it being put out. But, yeah, I mean, it's always a thought of something to look at in the future.
Any questions, Dave?
Mr. Chairman, I don't have a question, but I do have a motion based upon this cost and looking at what this payback is. It's my opinion that there is no way in the world we could justify moving forward with this project at this point in time. And in light of all that, I move that we just shelve it for an indefinite period of time and see what develops, because I just don't see any way to put together a plan at this point that's economically feasible.
I agree with you.
That's my motion.
You get second? Motion and second. Everybody in favor by the word of aye?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? We will shovel it until further notice. That's it for us.
Thank y'all very much, and we'll revisit it in the future and see what we can come up with. Thank y'all.
Just let me ask you one thing before you.
Yes, sir.
go on that. Am I right, when we look at airport revenue, and we talk about planes and the property taxes, that we're not sharing in the property taxes that are assessed on the planes that are stored there?
We are currently not receiving.
We get our city portion. We do not get any county
County
tax funds,
Okay.
which I think last year was around $9,200.
Our, the 90,
Excuse me, that was the
The county
county
portion.
portion.
that was the county assessment.
Yeah, that was the county portion. That's something that we're gonna work on the next service delivery strategy on, so that there's a little bit more buy-in from the county, hopefully. I know it's not a lot of money now, but in the future, as our airport grows over the next 10, 20 years, that could be valuable revenue.
And too, you know, in the denial of this for now, there are other ways over the course of the time that we can work to increase revenues at the airport, outside of just the hangar system itself. So, it's just something we'll keep hammering out. We've got a airport committee meeting next Wednesday, I believe, at 10 a.m. So we'll have some options and talk about it then.
And I believe, you know, in lieu of T-hangers, which I know is what we all want out there, we have a few more tie-down spaces that are going to be available as part of this apron expansion and extension
There'll be
project.
16 added.
So we will have more space available for planes. It's just not the luxury
Yeah. It's not
T-hanger.
balanced. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. Thank you, Mr. Garrett. Moving to Public Works, Mr. Dickinson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Smith, do you have the solid waste report?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dickinson. If you see, got posted a tonnage report for August. It didn't change much from July, except for collection. Commercial collection was up a little bit. As far as the transfer station projects, we completed all of them that was listed, with the exception of a couple of them. The drainage project still pending. And, of course, we going into next year with the building. The only other thing I have on the report is, looks like we're gonna get reimbursed for about a little over $2,500 on the strap tire from EPD. And that includes cost of disposal and labor. And I'll take any questions you might have.
All right, no questions. Mr. Still?
Thank you, Mr. Dixon. Just highlighting some stuff that we got going on right now. We're actively wrapping up or continuing to wrap up our LMIG program, which is our paving program for the year. We're still out on a daily basis doing some right-of-way maintenance as well as some sidewalk construction. We've been out at the airport for the last week, moving some of that dirt around there. And then staging, getting ready to plan to do this drainage project at the transfer station. Other than that, you have the report in front of you. I'll be glad to take any questions.
Appears there are no questions.
I do have one other thing to add. In next month's meeting, I will present our recommendation for the 2019 LMIG program.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Smith, the next item is the request to purchase the side loader truck, if you'd tell us about that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dickinson. Yeah, we're asking for your approval to purchase a Heil automated side loader, and it's mounted on a 2019 Peterbilt chassis at $256,174, and this is one of our CIP splash projects, purchases rather, and using the NGPA bidding process. This unit is going to replace 2002 semi-automated rear loader garbage truck, 16 years old, got a lot of man hours and a lot of maintenance costs. The purpose for the truck is to, and we're expecting to be a lot more efficient, mainly with the new proposed residential developments. It'll allow us to reduce a 3-man crew to a 1-man operation, and it's going to be a much safer truck, and should get a significant reduction in workers' comp injuries. So that's what we're asking. Now, take any questions that you might have.
All right, does anybody have any questions or comments?
Could I have a question?
Bradley?
I guess finance.
Side load to this, is it only load on one side or is it load on both sides?
Yes, it's a one-side loader, just one side. It has a right-hand side driver, so he'll go down one street, but you're gonna gain about an hour just by having a one-man operation compared
He
to.
has to go both ways on the street.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Little, you had a question?
I was just going to ask Mr. Smith if finance concurred with the recommendation to purchase at this time.
Yeah, that's right. This was budgeted for in the SPOST account.
All right, any other questions, comments? I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve, Mr. Garrett, second, Mr. Little. Any further discussion? All right, call the question. All in favor, state aye. Aye. All right, we'll be recommending that to the full council.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Still. Thank you, Mr. Smith. Thank you, Mr. Dickinson.
Thank you.
Moving forward to utilities, Mr. Little?
Thank you, Mayor. The electric and telecom report.
Yes, Mr. Little. Our items of interest in electric this month are our meter services van was delivered last week, and if you remember during our CIP discussions, we're going to outfit this van with all our meter testing, our home inspection, not a home inspection, but I've lost my wording there, I'm sorry, but it's basically where we go out and do energy audits, energy audit equipment and all into this van. It's being outfitted this week, should be put in service next week. The second one I'm really proud of, our line loss is as low as it's ever been recorded since we've been recording. It's at a little below 3%. And if you just think about it, every 1% is about $125,000 in loss. So we're bringing it over the year. So if you get that average down to 3, we were at 8% in 2006. So we've brought that down from 8% to averaging around 3.5% every month, but a yearly 12-month rolling at around 3.5. What really drives this is our vegetation control, getting the limbs and the lines off of the conductors and stopping the arcing. If you'll see, you used to see a lot of this, you'd see a bunch of trees that were brown where they're going through the wire. Well, that's loss. So that money that we're spending on vegetation control is really paying back to us. LED projects moving along great. It's where we're changing out all the LED lights all the regular street lights to LED. I was going to talk a little bit about transformer problems we have, but I want to change that over to a problem we had in the substation Sunday. We had a squirrel enter the substation below the library, Station 2, got on the main bus bar at the main power transformer and came in contact with the main bus bar while his feet was on the ground wire. Took the entire station out. So anybody that lived from downtown or a customer anywhere from downtown back west and north and south of here, they lost power for about 7.5 seconds. If you have any questions, it was a squirrel. We don't like squirrels in the electric department. The last thing in the electric is SEPA. We've got that on as an item of discussion for tonight. We have talked about this in the past. SEPA is the Southeastern Power Association. It is basically the hydro that comes off the Corps of Engineer lakes in the state of Georgia. We had an opportunity to apply for more power from SEPA or more energy from SEPA a few months ago, and we made that application. It was a non-binding application. They gave us 0.845 megawatts. That is our allocation. Now we have to decide whether we want to actually take it and be bound by a 10-year contract. This is the cheapest, cleanest energy we can acquire anywhere. It runs about 2.5 cents at the generator. By the time you get it here, it's 2 3/4, 3 cents. This is a low amount of power. It would add about $17,000 a year on average to our cost of sales, so that our energy cost, which is less than right around 1/10% increase. I would have wished they would have gave us 3 megawatts, which was our initial request up to. But you get what you can. We're going to put this on the agenda for next week for the full council to vote. But I want y'all to take this week. I'll send out an email tomorrow with a lot more detail. If y'all have any questions, please contact me and we can go over it. But this is the only energy that's available right now that is not CO2 emitting that we can grab a hold to. And so this is a 10-year deal with SEPA. We get about 7 megawatts now from SEPA. This adds almost another full megawatt. There could be an opportunity in the future to make an inter-participant transfer from another city to get some more. We just got to look at the finances of that and see if it makes sense. But right now, this is what we've been allocated. In telecom, Justin Milligan did a great job in negotiating with our internet capacity company, which is Cogent. They gave us an increase of 5-fold. We went from 2 gigs to 10 gig, and they lowered the cost. And this is getting us prepared for our next improvement of bandwidth to the customer, which we hope to bring to you next month, which would almost double the capacity to every one of our individual offerings with no cost increase to the customer. That's the reason we can do this. We're bringing our costs down, and what the customers want is more speed. So we're going to try to get them double that speed. The ASR router was set at the head end this week. Well, it was set last week and it's brought into service this week, and that allows us to have our fully redundant ring through GPW. And we have been made aware through AdTran of another fiber to the premise offering. They have been working with Charter Communications over the past 2-3 years, developing this node replacement that changes the customer from from coax to fiber, and we're real excited about it, but I've still got to get my feet wet. But I just want to mention it. This is something that's really coming in down the pipe real fast for us. Our technologies change weekly, but this is a great opportunity because Charter, since they've bought into this product line is going to be around for a long time. It's not going to be a fly-by-night product. And I'll take any questions you may have.
Do you happen to know what the average is for the line loss for, well, what MEAG might say or Electric Cities might say for the state?
No, but I can get that for you. If you look at our 12-month,
How this compares?
down here, that was one of the first things we identified in 2006 as a place that we could quickly save money, was get that line loss down. There's 2 ways you do it. You handle vegetation, and you change conductors from copper to aluminum. Now, you might think, well, copper conducts better. Why is there less loss? It's in the connections. All the services that go to the homes are aluminum. So when you have a dissimilar metal, the copper squeezing on, or the aluminum squeezing onto the copper, you have line loss. You have heat generated. But I'll have that for you next week, Mr. Little.
And the additional power that you'll get with this SEPA contract,
Yes, sir.
that'll pretty much take out the need at any time to purchase power.
Not all of it. If you look back to February of this year, got real cold, that real cold snap, and we bought a lot of power in February, and the market price was terrible. And if you look at, we were paying somewhere north of 9 cents a kilowatt hour, which is about a 50% increase or 40% increase what we normally pay because we were at the mercy of the market. Last month, we bought around 900,000 kilowatt hours on the market at that 4.5 cent range. This would be around 600,000. It could replace around 600,000 kilowatt hours of that over the month and bring that down about a penny, penny and a half.
Do we generally, on average, purchase more power than we have excess power to sell?
Depends on the month tremendously and really depends on the weather. We are a peaking 38 megawatt city, 38, 39 megawatts. We have 34, 35 megawatts of capacity. So if it's a May or an April, we're below 35 megawatts and we're selling. And it's also timing because if it gets real cold at night, we got some gas. We have I got a gas guy over here that's selling gas to some of our customers. Some cities don't have that, especially Florida. So we're good with that because we can sell power to the Florida cities. So it's really weather dependent. But it hits the months that you would think, the January, February, and then June, July, and August. Those are the months that we are really over. But market power costs are higher than our cost on this, so if we do have excess, we will be able to sell it. Now, that will wash with some of our existing power, our own power, which is high, costing us higher than market, and we're selling it at market, but that should clean some of that up.
The other intangible on the SEPA is the greening of our portfolio, which is very attractive in the economic development world.
Yes.
A lot of companies are looking at that when they're coming to town. So, if we
we're
can broaden that
much-
non-emitting portfolio.
We're much different than our competitors on that sense. We're at 72% non-emitting.
With that same thing in mind, though, the SEPA agreement, you said is a 10-year agreement, correct?
Yes, sir.
And hopefully, within a couple of years, we'll have Vogel online.
Yes. But we're only if you remember with Vogel, we're only taking 3 megawatts of that for the first 20 years. So we're only going to get the 3 megawatts, hopefully, in our territory up north of town, the Charlotte Rowell project and the Deer Acres. If that blows up, we're going to need more energy anyway. So that was the plan, to have 3 megawatts for that development area.
Expansion.
Yes, sir. When you're looking at power purchases, you're really looking 40, 60 years in advance. You can't just look 1-2 years to buy those products, because you just don't build a power plant every day.
Thank you, Brian. Are there any other questions for Brian? If not, Mr. Middlebrooks, you want to do the water, sewer, gas, and stormwater report?
Thank you, Mr. Little. Just a quick update on a couple projects, one being the Highway 7811 bridge. The gas project is complete. The main line has been removed from the bridge. And if you've been by, the old Take Station building on the corner has been removed. Got some concrete, some piping now to deal with. We'll get that removed and get that corner landscaped and have it looking nice. That project's gonna come in, looks to be about $23,000 to $25,000 under budget, so wrapping that up. As far as the Alcovey River Pump Station sewer line, that Carl's working on, and the water extension to Loganville, those are still in the design phase, but they are moving along. And on the 2016 CDBG, they're finishing up the punch list, so we should be wrapping that one up here in the next month. And then our last Thursday, we had our Stormwater Expo at the training center. Had our best year yet, had 23 vendors, 150, I believe it was 152 attended, so had a good showing. If you got any questions, I'll be more than happy to Try to answer them.
Mayor, take note, we're not buying anything this month, that's all we got.
Not right now. I think we're going to do that next week.
I had a bunch, but
Thank you, Mr. Middlebrooks.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Little. Moving to public safety. Mr. Adcock?
Thank you, Mayor. Have two items on the agenda, the first one being the monthly fire report. Chief Owens.
Thank you, Mr. Ashcock. As you can see, the monthly fire reports, the numbers are pretty consistent. The fires are starting to come up a little bit more. We're getting into the fall of the year, which is always a concern. The main thing I'd like to bring to the council, or let y'all know that October is Fire Prevention Month, so we're gonna be out and about most of the month. Next week is Fire Prevention Week. And on the 20th, we're actually gonna have a fire safety blowout right there at the fire station. We're gonna have bounce houses and all kinds of activities going on for the community itself. The only other thing that we have major coming up is tomorrow, we're gonna actually start doing hydrant testing and flushing of the system. And so we'll be putting out reports on that on the city Facebook and our Facebook and getting that out to the community. But we're gonna be out flushing and testing hydrants for probably the next 3 to 4 weeks. We got 900, so. That's all I have. Be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. The police report,
Thank you.
RV.
As you can see, for the month of August, we responded to 3,755 calls. We did make 86 arrests, adult arrests, and 3 juvenile. We participated in 13 community events. That was also when we did our National Night Out, which was a huge turnout from the community. Good time for them to meet with our officers and just help build those relationships there. And you can see the rest of our numbers as you flip through. What I wanted to point out, though, was some of the benefits of having the canine program. As you know, we implemented the 2 canines this year, and it's been a huge, it's produced greatly for us. Unfortunately, last month we had that issue with Canine Gabber where he suffered a heat exhaustion and had to be put down. But before he was, I wanted to point out in the month of August, he actually had 3 apprehensions. One that was significant that took place was an incident that took place up on the north end of town where a individual stole a gun out of a vehicle and fled from the scene. Officers were able to get eyesight on him. He ran up into a resident where a family was at. We were able to get the family out of the residence, and canine was brought in where he was given multiple commands to come out, which he didn't, and Canine Gabber was sent in, and he was apprehended without any incident to any of our officers or to the family there. The second canine, which we still have, is Zero. One of the noteworthy finds that he did was an incident happened down here on East Spring where a subject was involved in a domestic and stabbed himself in his leg and severed his femoral artery. And it was raining that day, and he took off running from the scene, ended up running behind the Monroe Motor Inn and down into the wood line. And it's my belief if we didn't have the canine there, which did a track and tracked him all the way into the wood line, where the officers were able to make contact with him and get EMS there, where they could apply a tourniquet and actually save that individual's life. So I can't say enough about the benefit of having the canine program, how it's been beneficial to this organization and to the community. And I can't brag enough on these officers. I was just thinking when Bill was talking about his fire prevention month, I was like, every day's crime prevention day for us at the PD. So, and these guys do a great job at it. Our CID, the significant things they did for August, investigated 4 death investigations, which turned out not to be suspicious. They did recover some stolen metal that had been stolen from elite stores down here that was up to about $80,000 worth. They were able to track it down to Bear County and recover that and made 2 arrests on individuals that actually worked there. And they also were able to solve 3 missing person cases that were reported to us. That's all I have at this time. If y'all have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Are we looking at replacing the canine?
Yes, sir. That is something that
I definitely need to get with Logan and the council and see when that would be something we can move forward on. Now, the canine officer has been in contact with Alabama Canine on, the dogs they get in. They get dogs in periodically. And just trying to see if the owner of Alabama Canine knows our canine officer. And it's crucial that you fit the dog with that handler. And so he's actually, the canine handler's been through that program twice now. And so the owner knows, what kind of dog to look for our handler. And as soon as he sees one that's a fit, we're going to make a trip up there and then go from there about, getting another one. And he's going to give us a discount because of what had happened with Canine Gabbard. It was unfortunate, but, we had to do the right thing and put the dog down.
And that's a significant discount, too. It's, I
Yes.
think originally it was $40,000, and now we're talking 10?
Right. That's what was told to me on the phone, that, the guy is a good guy. I mean, he does a great job. He's world-renowned. He's known everywhere. Again, he hated it happened to us and said, he wants to put us back in there. He's been good to us, so wants to see the program to be successful. And I do, too. I mean, I can't brag enough on it. If you get a chance, I know everybody's busy, but if you do, I encourage you to come out from the council, get in the car with any of these officers, but get in with the canine officers, just see what they do every day. Before I came in here, both those canine officers are working together today. They recovered a stolen gun on 78 out here out of Fulton County on some subjects they just stopped. I mean, I want us to have the reputation at the police department that you're not going to be able to do drugs, sell drugs, or commit any kind of crime in our city. And I think we're doing a good job getting that out there.
That's a perfect mindset for the chief of police, so thank you.
Thank you. That's all we have, Mayor, this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Adcock. Moving to planning and code, Ms. Malcolm.
We have several rezones up for next week. Patrick?
Yes, we do. Right now, I was just going to go over the monthly code department report. You have it before you on your iPads there, and it's fairly boilerplate. I did want to mention amongst the other things listed there that the city marshal does, we did talk about in the planning and code committee meeting recently. That was a called meeting to discuss the R1A revision. That he had completed approximately 1,400 contacts throughout the city since December of 2017, when we really started stepping up our enforcement efforts throughout the city. So he's doing a great job, obviously handling close to 200 cases a month and follow-ups. So I wanted to mention that. Some other things that are happening in the city, as you can all see when you go down Spring Street, Wendy's is making great progress. They've probably got another 60 to 90 days at the most to complete that. Stop by the Your Pie restaurant, another project that's going on right now. That's about 75% complete. Then everything seems like going on right now in the city is restaurants. We've got Silver Queen ready to go. They're just waiting on a final approval of their civil plans so that they can break ground. 137 South Broad, they've begun their renovations. We gave them a partial permit to get started on their facade renovations, so they're working on that as well. And LR Burger received their COA from Planning and Zoning, so their design is approved. The other project that's going on or about to be going on, hopefully, if they can scramble and get everything finalized, is the Main Street Walton Mills apartment project. We've been talking with them, seems like constantly for the last several months, and they're about to get underway with that as soon as they can get everything finalized. On your report on your iPads, there's that demolition, repair, and cleanup list. We added 4 cases back in August. I just wanted to give you an update. One of those houses has already been demolished. Another one, the owner came in and agreed to demolish the one we inquired about, and actually volunteered another one that she owns. So that'll be 2 more that'll be getting going soon. Another one on the list that was just added came in, and we've worked out a plan for them to rehab their property. And the 4th one, we haven't had any response, so that may be a pending court case. So if you have any questions about the report or any of the other things I mentioned, I'll be happy to answer.
Does Wendy's have a projected completion date?
Well, 60 to 90 days is probably what it'll take to finish it out. So that would be the end of the year.
When Rite Aid closed, did they indicate anything else coming into that building?
No, sir.
You good?
I think that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Malcolm.
Well, I did have a question on one of the upcoming rezone, but I'll just get with you after the meeting on that.
Oh, okay.
I think we're going to
We
come
talked
back to
about
that.
them in items of
Come
discussion.
back to that in just a minute.
Okay, all right.
Moving to economic development, Mr. Bradley?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ms. Crosby, economic development report.
Thank you. A couple of things to point out on the report. The Georgia Certified Economic Developer designation, that you guys enabled me to pursue that training, and you have to do a portfolio capstone project, and that has been awarded and designated to me, and that'll be, the Georgia Department of Economic Development will present that on October 15th. So thank you for allowing me to get that additional training and certification. We had the GIC conference last month. This is our final conference as participants in the GIC program will now move into alumni status that we'll have to maintain over time and kind of figure out the next steps for our local housing team. And that's pending what you guys would like to see and how we want to engage them. We do have our big annual Housing Expo event this Saturday. This is the one that had to be postponed because the power was blown out at the community center. So we're having that this Saturday, October 6th. That was a great event last year. We're looking forward to it again this Saturday. You'll see this on the agenda next week and in items of discussion tonight, but Pimento Investments, that's the company that is purchasing the building and doing L.R. Berger. They were approved to receive revolving loan funds from the Georgia Cities Foundation and DCA. So we do have a resolution that the council has to pass prior that says we are applying for the funds, which have already been applied for and awarded, but this is one of the things that DCA requires for them to actually close on those funds. They'll be getting $189,000, a little over $189,000 from both organizations to go into their project, which total cost is $961,000 project for that restaurant. And also, we have moved forward with Allen Smith Consulting to pursue another redevelopment grant. This is the same tool that we use for the livery stable project with the Wayfair expansion for the renovations at 306 South Madison, which is the city-owned building that has a contract to purchase. Those investors are going to be pursuing it to stabilize that building. It has a maximum available funds of $750,000, and that comes as a grant to the city that we loan to the project. And then when it's paid back to the city, it goes into our established revolving loan fund for our own local projects. And we established that, the initial funding for it through the livery redevelopment grant. And then we have a lot of new businesses that are opening up downtown. Just wanted to make sure you guys were aware of them so you can go visit them and see them. Gratuity Paper Company has expanded and moved into a location on the North Broad end of town. A brand new thing is a new home store next to the Pocket Park. Next door to that, Wingfoot Running is a running store that'll be opening within the month. Lazarus Vintage Revivals, vintage clothing store that has opened in the last month. So a lot of our stores target Fall Fest for opening because that's a big retail and restaurant day for us downtown, and that'll be on October 13th. So awesome, great energy. And then you have updates below of other events coming up and ongoing projects. Be happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Ms. Crosby.
Thanks.
Sadie, not a question, but just want to tell you how much I appreciate the work you did bringing she brought the University of Georgia with her last week, and the livery stable reception was excellent. You got a lot of wonderful comments about the work that's going on around town.
Thank you for being there.
That was a great group, and tell Sharon she's welcome to come visit anytime. We'll give her another standing ovation. Thank you, Mr. Bradley. Items for discussion. Public hearing at 1190 West Spring Street. Mr. Kelly?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is just a petition to rezone a property that's currently M1. They want to rezone it to B3 to allow for the uses that are allowed in B3 zoning. Their intention is to put an office complex there, and the main focus of that is, I think, a dental office for their son or son-in-law. Anyhow, he'll be graduating soon, and they wanted a place to put his business. And we'll be eliminating an M1 zoning in a B3 area, so that's always a positive. If you have any questions about the petition, I'll be happy to answer them.
Hearing none, move into the public hearing, rezone at 318 Alcovey Street and 409 Greenwood Drive.
Yes, sir. And this is also a petition for a rezone of a property for a planned residential district of approximately 17 acres. It's a reuse of the American Legion Post site and a portion of 409 Greenwood, which is asked to be rezoned as well into the PRD. It'll leave a large portion of that tract fronting on Greenwood Drive, which will also be pursuing a variance after it's taken off the table with the planning and zoning and forwarded to you all in November. If you have any questions about this one, I'll be happy to answer them.
I have a question. In looking at the request, it was for 15.74 acres on Alcovey Street and 1.252 on Greenwood.
Yes, and that's
But then-
just,
Well, let me
go ahead,
finish.
please.
And then, so that equals 17, but the track or the plat that is presented shows that track 1 is 17 acres, and track 2 is 1.853. So I'm confused as to where the difference lies.
okay, I can probably clear that up. On what you're looking at is going to be the resultant configuration of the lots. Actually, after they take in that portion of the Greenwood lot and make it part of the PRD, that will make the American Legion portion 17 acres and leave the remainder on Greenwood Drive, which is the 1.853. So it was 2.3 something acres before, and that portion on the American Legion side of the creek is going to the Veterans Walk development, and the portion on the other side is going to
Okay.
remain that
That will be what will be considered at.
Pollock subdivision, Greenwood Drive facing, yes.
So just for clarification, that there is no rezone request for the property adjacent to Greenwood.
No,
Out of that lot, but
what you see resultant on the plat in front of you is what's left to front on Greenwood. The other portion will be taken in. So there is no rezone for the resultant parcel that will be made when this is all recorded.
So it's a 1.252 parcel to equal total of 17
That's
on
correct.
the Alcovey Street
1.2 does not
project.
front on Greenwood.
No, it's
Correct.
just the backside of Greenwood to equal 1.252, correct?
That's right.
Now, does that reduce the 1.853 minus, or?
No, that
the
1.853 will be what is left once that part is absorbed into the Veterans Walk development.
Okay. That helps. I was just confused by reading the legal.
Any questions?
And do you know how much of this is proposed to be rental property?
Well, the only certain rental portion is the apartment complex portion. And then, of course, the remainder is fee simple sales. I don't know what the owners or what the covenants will say about rental property, but just,
Well, I mean, I know there were townhomes and apartments, and I didn't know if the townhomes were going to be rental or
I believe that everything except for the apartment building is going to be fee simple,
Single-family.
single-family residential.
okay.
You good?
Good, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Moving to the Chamber of Commerce contract for approval. Mr. Probst?
Thank you. This is the annual renewal contract for services provided by the Walton County Chamber of Commerce. This contract's a little late, but it's okay. We have a pretty good working relationship. It runs from July 1st, 2018 through June 30th, 2019. It totals $5,500, which in my opinion is a pretty good deal for their partnership and a lot of our activities.
We need a motion for that tonight? Are we
No, that's
holding for that next week?
Next week.
Okay. Next, we have a resolution for DDRLF Pimento Investments LLC. Ms. Crosick.
This is the standard resolution that we do with all of our downtown development revolving loan funds through DCA. So it's pretty straightforward.
Quick and painless. Thank you. Any questions for Sadie before I move along? Hearing none. Southeastern Power Administration power sales change, and I'm going to refer to Logan.
Sure. Yeah, we already discussed this at length during the department reports, but again, this is an annual cost of about $17,487.95 through the SEPA program. And again, I think this is an overall win for the city. Cheap power, long-term greening portfolio. Really, the only time we would see any negative impact is during severe droughts. But if you average that out over the 10-year period in the look-backs, it's only a few months where we would see any negative impact, basically paying those SEPA fees without receiving any benefit. But otherwise, I think it's a positive for the city long-term.
Thank you. And as Debbie needs to get to her grandson's baseball game, may I have a motion to adjourn? Ms. Malcolm? Second, Mr. Ross Bradley. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned.